Hey guys, it's Ashley, and today's video is going to be on Matthew 24 and the Great Tribulation. So stick with me. Great Tribulation. What's this? I look at the Great Tribulation as all the events that will take place in the last part of the 7 years. So we have a 7-year tribulation. We know this by Daniel 9:27, and we split that 7 years in half. We've got a remaining 3.5 years. I see that as the Great Tribulation. And the things that we're about to read, I see for the most part taking place in those last 3.5 years. So we have been reading Matthew 24, and now we're in verse 15. So we just got done reading about how there's going to be famines and earthquakes and nations against nations, and there'll be betrayal and offense. And now Jesus is saying in verse 15, therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand, then he's going to tell you what to do. I'm going to put a video on the bottom about the abomination of desolation because I've done many videos on this, so I'm not going to repeat myself. So I'll put a video or two on the bottom about this very subject. But in a nutshell, the abomination of desolation is going to be when the Antichrist puts an image of himself in the temple of God. He says that he is God. He's going to be taking away sacrifices and offerings. For him to take away sacrifices and offerings, there needs to be a temple. For him to stand in the temple, there needs to be a temple. For him to have an image of himself in the temple, there needs to be a temple. So there will be a temple in Jerusalem. But back to the abomination of desolation. Those acts of that image, him taking away sacrifices and offerings, him saying that he is God, the implementation of the mark of the beast, he will be killing anyone who doesn't follow him. I see that as the abomination of desolation. Abomination are just evil acts. Desolation causes destruction. So abomination of desolation, evil acts, horrible acts against God that causes destruction. And that's what the Antichrist will do. I would go get familiar with Revelation 13. Okay. So when you see this, he says, those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. What's Judea? It depends on how you look at it. In Israel, there was a region named Judea, was right there around Jerusalem. So he could be talking about that specific region right there around Jerusalem, or Judea can be just also known for just all of Israel. So he says, those who are there, so in that region of Judea or Israel, I would just, if I was in Israel and this happened, and let's say I was on the outskirts of Judea, but I was still in Israel, I would still go to the mountains. So this is what he says. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let them who is on the housetop not go down and take anything out of the house. And let him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days. And pray that your flight might not be in winter or Sabbath, for there will be great tribulation, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. For the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. So he is saying, and I really believe this because, and again, I would have to pray. I'd have to really go, I don't want to open a can of worms, but I would have to really pray if I was in Israel. Let's say I was in the northern part of Israel and this happens. I would be like, Jesus, am I to flee to, or was this specifically for the exact region of Judea? I would have to really pray on that. As of now, I'd be like, no, go go. And he is saying, I mean, especially for that region of Judea, I mean, because it's right there around Jerusalem. He's like, you don't even go back and get your coat if you left it on the corner of the field because you got hot when you were plowing. You know. And because what I see happening is when the Antichrist rises up and says that he is God, that image gets, made, created, is mandated to worship it, all of that. I see the Antichrist having his armies throughout Jerusalem. And like they will be like ready to come out and like kill. And so I think that's why Jesus is like, you don't have time to go back into your house. When you see this, you flee. And you want to know what's really cool? In the book of Revelation, we won't read it, but I'll give you verses. In the book of Revelation, it's coming. Chapter 12, verse 6, and chapter 12, verse 14. It's talking about how Israel will be in the wilderness and she'll be nourished for 3.5 years, which is really cool because it seems to parallel, whatever the word is, with right here what we read about those who in Judea flee to the mountains. Why are they going to the mountains? Because I believe that Revelation 12 verses 6 and 14 will be manifested. Okay. He says, pray. Pray that your flight may not be in the winter or Sabbath. So I would assume, and it would be interesting to study the weather in Israel during winter. Because I mean, I know their winters wouldn't be like here in America in the Midwest, but I'm assuming it's going to be, I don't know, cold, or I don't know if it gets darker earlier or what, but it's probably harder to travel during winter. And then Sabbath, well, that's their holy day. And as of now, I think I'd have to do more research. Don't quote me on this. But there is no transportation on the Sabbath. Like everything's shut down. And so if it would happen on the Sabbath, that would make getting up to the mountains that much more difficult from my perception. I'd have to study more on this. But those are just my 2 cents right now. But what he says is he says to pray. So even if we don't get it, we can still pray. And we can even pray on behalf of them. Like, Lord, I don't know exactly why you say not to travel on winter. I don't know exactly why you say not to travel on Sabbath. Because you pray that it doesn't happen around that time. So we just pray it doesn't. Right? Okay. All right, it goes on. When he says that the days will be shortened for the elect's sake, I see that as the Christians, I see that we're here. I really do. That's another video, but I think we're here. And days being shortened, it can be one of two things. Either days will literally be shortened and our 24-hour day won't be like 24 hours. It'll be like 12 or 13 hours or 14. Or it could mean like our lifespan is shortened. Like he'll be taking more and more people home. So they don't have to go through the things that the Great Tribulation will be manifesting. It goes on. And this I find interesting. Because remember, the Antichrist is saying that he is God, right? I mean, he is the number one person. All eyes will be on him. And I mean, you'll get killed if you don't follow him. And so then right here in verse 23, it says, then if anyone's, I jumped the gun. I jumped the gun. Oh, wait. Nope. No, I was right. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's keep on reading. He says in verse 23, that if anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, or there, do not believe it. Okay? For false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, the elect. See, I have told you beforehand. What makes it so interesting, he says, there'll be false Christs, plural. And of course, false prophets, plural. But I find it so interesting because the Antichrist will be like the Antichrist. Like capital T, capital H, capital E, the. I mean, he's going to be at the womb. But it appears there'll be other people maybe portraying to be Jesus or even having the anointing like Jesus. And I don't know how that's going to fly when the Antichrist is around. So if verse 23 is chronological in regards to us just reading about the abomination, I find that interesting. I mean, there is a chance that verse 23 and verse 24 in regards to the more plural fact of false prophets and Christ, plural, he could just be rewinding himself and just emphasizing just overall this will be happening. I feel like Jesus does that at times. Not everything he says is chronological, just like everything. If I was going to have a cup of coffee with you, if I was going to tell you about my day, not always am I going to be like, I did this and this and this and this and this and there we go. Our coffee date is done. Most likely, I will be like, hey guys, I got up, I walked my dog, Caleb, got home, had breakfast, spent time with Jesus, got ready to teach. Oh, and by the way, when I was walking Caleb, you should have seen what I saw. So you know what I mean? Like boom, 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 boom. And then I go come back up here and talk a little. He might be doing that in verse 23 and 24 in regards to the plural of Christ, false Christ, and false prophets. I find it interesting. Verse 26, therefore, if they say to you, look, he is in the desert, do not go out. Look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For wherever the carcass is, there the eagles will be gathered together. All right, again, so verse 26, he's still elaborating on if it's the Antichrist, other people saying they're Jesus, like, don't believe it. They say, I'm in the field. They say, I'm over there. No, you will know it's me because I come on the clouds. I come in the sky. And there's many verses to back that up. Many. I'll give you some. There is Revelation 1:7. There's 1 Thessalonians 4:16 through 18. I mean, it's very, very evident. He comes in the sky. And so that's what he means. Like, I am coming like lightning from the east to the west. I think there's more to that verse. I believe that means like we're all going to see him in the sky. I think some people think Jesus will get recorded in a certain area coming back and then you'll see him, but you'll see him because you watch it on TV. No. All eyes will see him in the sky, meaning his procession. Everyone, America, Israel, Africa, Canada, Mexico, everyone will see Jesus in the sky. And so I think that's what it means by the lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west. Verse 28. For wherever the carcass is, there the eagles will be gathered together. After Jesus is in the sky and we all see him, he puts his feet on the earth. Specifically, I believe it's the region of, it's Israel, okay? And I haven't studied too much on this yet, but there's a scripture where it talks on how he will be in Edom and he'll be treading the winepress and his robe will even have blood on it. And I believe that's before the Battle of Armageddon. And so when we see wherever the carcass is there, the eagles will be gathered. When he puts his feet in Israel and he is starting to have his wrath, his judgments manifest, there will be birds coming to eat the flesh. And we'll see it, I think, majorly at the Battle of Armageddon. But I think there's going to be things that he is doing for sure in Edom, because it talks about it. And so, yeah. I think I had one more Bible verse in regards to the carcass. Nope, all I did was, it was just the treading the winepress in Isaiah 63, 1 through 6. That's the whole talk about Edom. And then I had Revelation 19. That's the Battle of Armageddon. Whew, I know. I don't know. Okay, we'll keep on going. Verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Sorry, I have it's all stuck here, and I don't want to redo the video because my life is very full right now. So you're just going to be stuck with me in a sore throat. All right, let's get some coffee. I'm just going to bring you with me. I never do this. But that's okay. This is just part of life. You can see my house a little bit, but I need to have something real quick. Okay, thank you. I know, I don't edit my videos. I just don't edit. I don't have time. I don't have time to edit, guys. Okay, maybe someday the Lord will, I don't know, bring me someone to help edit. I don't know. Okay, let me drink and then let's talk. Sorry. This is like the worst video ever. It doesn't matter. This is just life, right? I'm a human being. Verse 29. Immediately after, you got to pay attention to that. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun's going to be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven. The powers of heaven will be shaken, and then the sign of the Son of Man will come. After these things, people who think Jesus is coming before the 7 years, it doesn't make any sense. Right here, it says, after these things, after these tribulations, then God will come, Jesus will come. Verse 31, and he will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. That's the rapture. So after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, moon will not give its light, we'll see the Son of Man. And then right there, and they will gather together his elect. So that, to how I look at that, that is the rapture. And it happens after everything takes place. And the only reason why I stress that is not because, I believe in a post-tribulation. That's the fancy word saying I believe he comes at the end of the year, end of the 7 years. I'm in post-tribulation. That's just me, and I just think I'm right because I want to feel good because I feel right. No, it's because if we think he's coming before the 7 years, I don't think we're going to pay as much attention as we should be to the scriptures. And maybe I'm wrong. There could be a few out there. I know one of them who I don't know, maybe he's changed his mind, but he was a pre-tribber. That's the fancy word saying I think Jesus comes before the 7 years, but he still studied intensely. So I got to be careful on how I speak. But overall, if people think we're not going to face all the things we're talking about, whatever, he's coming before the 7 years, I think your average person won't be studying as much. But if we are convinced, or we really believe, wait a second, I think he really could be coming at the end of the 7, I think we would study more and we would prepare more. So then we're ready when he comes. So that's my 2 cents. All right, guys, have a great day. No worries. God is good. Our next video is going to be taking everything we talked about in Matthew 24 and putting it on a timeline. Yes, it's right here. It's right here. We'll do it later. Get a little taste. There we go. Oh my gosh, is it completely... Anyway. Thanks for bearing with me today, guys. Okay, bye.